Thank you, everybody, for watching. Welcome to Brooklyn Squad Drama, Brooklyn Squad Real Life Crimes. And today I am going to be talking about a cold case. And the reason I am talking about this cold case is because I will be interviewing the daughter this Saturday. I will be posting the time and everything up. So please, that's why it's important to keep your notifications on. I found this case just the other day, actually. And when I seen it, it really dug in my heart. It really touched me because there's a daughter who's been fighting for justice for a cold case for 40 something years. Okay? Patricia Odie, and y'all know I don't say the correct name, so excuse me, was killed when she was in her 20s. Okay? She was only in her 20s. She had already had two children. If I'm not mistaken, it might be three, but I know she had two daughters already. For more than 40 years now, her daughter, Susanna Timms, believed her mother walked out on her and left her for just another guy. The father was in the picture, and the kid said, "You know what? All these years, my mother walked out just to be with that other man." But that wasn't the case. And here we are, years later, talking about her mother's case. A case that has not been solved. And I think this is important to speak out, spread awareness, and spread her name. Because her daughter is fighting and she is not going nowhere. She's fighting and she's fighting hard, just like she should. I want to show you something.
I'm here, okay?
Every Thursday, we bring you a part of our missing series here on News Nation, shedding light on missing persons cases from across the country that tend to not get a lot of media attention. This week, our case focuses on a decades-old mystery, 50 years old, almost, a longtime family who has gone without answers. Patty Otto vanished in the late 1970s. Her husband, at the time, told her daughters that their mom left. But 2 years ago, her daughter Suzanne found an image of a Jane Doe online, and she said it was like looking in a mirror. Here now is a closer look at Patty Otto's case and disappearance. For more than 40 years, Suzanne Timms believed her mother, Patty Otto, had left her family for another man in 1976 when she was just 3 years old. But she was haunted by a fight she'd seen between her parents the last night she ever saw her mother.
I was scared because I could hear upstairs there was crashing and sounds and yelling, and my sister's 5 and I'm 3, and I'm curious. So I crept up the stairs, and my mom and dad were having a physical and verbal fight, and my mom hit him in the face and my dad hit her back, and then he put his hands around her neck, pushed her up against the wall, and drug her out of my sight.
Her sister Natalie told her at the time her mom would come back, but her father, Ralph, said Patty was gone for good. He told family and police in Lewiston, Idaho, that his wife abandoned them. Police began an investigation. After a search of the house, Ralph claimed investigators were harassing him and complained about it to friends at a local bar.
Dad goes into his regular old bar that he's been drinking in for years, and he's telling them that he'd like to get rid of this Captain Ayler who's harassing him, and that the bartender had previously said, if you ever need to get rid of somebody, I know people because I have connections. He was just trying to be cool.
Ralph took him up on it, but that hitman turned out to be an undercover police officer. Ralph Otto was convicted of attempted murder and sentenced to prison, and died 5 years later. But on July 28, 1978, while Ralph was serving his time, a woman's body was discovered buried in the woods in Portland, Oregon. The description of the body was similar to Patty's. Police in Lewiston sent Patty's dental records for comparison. But the day before those records were being prepared to go out, another body was discovered in Oregon at Finley Creek. Lewiston police were told Patty wasn't a match, but could her body have been that of the Finley Creek Jane Doe? The Finley Creek Jane Doe's identity remains in question even today and is also the subject of several Facebook posts. Suzanne stumbled across one of those posts 2 years ago, and it changed her life.
And I run across a unidentified Jane Doe forensic image, and the image is such my face that it literally pulls me out of bed, and I'm like, why would someone draw me as an unidentified Jane Doe? And I read the details, and it describes a short Caucasian blonde female wearing red pants and a white blouse, found 2 years after my mother disappeared. And I'm like, this isn't my face. This is my mother's face.
Suzanne began searching for articles on the Finley Creek Jane Doe and made another shocking revelation.
So she saw in a newspaper article the name of one of the hunters who had found her, and she recognized the name as her husband's grandpa. So she said, I think my father-in-law was there when the body was found for Finley Creek Jane Doe. So within the week, he went out to the site to see if he could remember all of it. And he said, yeah, I went right to it. And it looks, there's more growth there, but I remember it like it was yesterday.
Suzanne believes the Finley Creek Jane Doe is her missing mother, Patty Otto, but she has no body. Oregon State Police closed the case in 1990, sending the remains of the Finley Creek Jane Doe to be cremated. A few remains were never found: her hands, an arm, and a pelvic bone. In the last 2 years, cadaver dogs have caught a scent near the gravesite, and Suzanne is hoping to find resources to sift through the woods for that missing DNA.
Nobody so far anywhere has been able to extract DNA from cremains.
We're just at this point where I'm begging somebody who has to have the information to be able to solve this case, because otherwise it leaves me with what? The hope that I think I found her? I think I'm not the only one who needs closure. Her parents are gone, my sister's gone, but I'm still here.
If you have any information that can help this young woman, Suzanne, locate and identify her mom, Patty Otto, the Lewiston, Idaho Police Department is the phone number you want to call, that number on your screen now. And right after today's show at the top of the hour, I'll be taking part in a live discussion. I invite you to be part of that conversation. A 30-minute live stream. Suzanne, Patty Otto's daughter, will be joining me live to talk more about the case, the evidence, and her own detective work in trying to find that closure that she so desperately needs. Join me at the top.
Very sad. That really, really gave me chills. Wow. My prayers go out to her, really. It's really sad because all these years, all that time, as a young child, she believed what her father told them. Your mom doesn't want to come back. She walked out with another man. Just imagine, as a young child, you really believe that, and then years later you're trying to get justice or something so that your mother could have a burial, because your mother did not walk out. I couldn't even imagine. I give her so much. Whew. Wow, I give it to her because she was a baby. She was 3 years old. Her sister was 4. Did you hear her say that those visions would never go away? She remembers seeing her father and her mother slapping each other up, and her father dragging her mother by the throat, and that is the last time she's seen her mother. Take a look at this.
My mom's disappearance and how people immediately suspected my father. So when my 24-year-old mother disappeared, my father was the only suspect in the case. And I'm just curious, if you disappeared today, who would your family suspect? Would they think you willingly left, or would they automatically assume your spouse was involved? I know in my situation, my family would definitely not suspect my spouse. He's never done anything to harm me or never indicated that he would do anything to harm me, and he's just not that kind of person. So I think in
So
my
she's
situation,
telling
my
you
family
guys
might think
that
I
her
left on my own.
father
What about you?
was a suspect. Jesus, I went too far up. No, I didn't.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like if you were the child of a missing parent?
Good morning, Patty's Voice. I told you guys I was going to tell you about the psychic update, but let me get everybody caught up really quick. My mother, Patricia Otto, is a missing person from Lewiston, Idaho. She disappeared in 1976. My sister and I were 3 and 5 years old at the time. The time the psychic was called in is 1980. So this is 4 years after my mother disappeared. And around that same time, a 12-year-old girl disappeared in a nearby town of Asotin, Washington, just across the river from Lewiston. And my family was interested in having a psychic do a reading on this case. And they were able to get into contact with Dorothy Allison, who is a world-renowned psychic from New Jersey. And she's famous for having found the little boy in a green snowsuit. And she even correctly knew that he had his shoes on the wrong feet. So what did Dorothy Allison say in 1980 about my mother's case? All she was given was a paper that had my mother and father's birth dates on it. And this is what she read immediately. She said, there's legal problems in the case. She said, the suspect has something wrong with his leg. There's someone involved with the letter R. There's either a musician or a magician involved, which was interesting. The case will be solved in October. And then she asked if there was an archery range nearby.
This is very interesting.
She said, I'm not seeing a large body of water, but it's like a small pond or a creek. So let's go back through each one of those. She said there were legal problems involved in the case. Lots of legal problems. As we know, my father was the suspect in my mother's disappearance, but 2 months after her disappearance, he was arrested for attempted murder of the captain of the police force who was investigating mom's disappearance. That's pretty much a legal problem.
Yeah.
She said there was something wrong with the suspect's leg. That's also interesting because days after my mom's disappearance, my dad says he fell off a retaining wall and sprained his ankle. So he continued to have problems with his left leg. The letter R, obviously. My dad's name is Ralph. But in addition to that, the man that my mother had admitted to having the relationship with that spring was Randy. So there's two R's. And then she said there was music, a musician, or a magician involved. And what they didn't know at the time was the reason that dad went to Van's Club to go look for Randy the night my mother disappeared, and Randy is the man that my mother had this relationship with. Randy was playing in a band at that time. So musician. So we've got 4 out of 4. And then she asked if there was an archery range nearby, which there's not. In Lewiston, there really isn't an archery range nearby, but it's interesting that the Finley Creek hunters who found this body in 1978 were archery hunting for elk. Small pond or a creek. Obviously, that's why she's named Finley Creek, and October's coming up. Stay tuned.
Very, very interesting.
I told you guys I was going to tell you about the psychic update, but let me get everybody caught up really quick.
Very, very interesting.
Good morning, Patty's Voice. Just wanted to talk to you today about my mom's disappearance and how people immediately suspected my father. So when my 24-year-old mother disappeared, my father was the only suspect in the case. And I'm just curious, if you disappeared today, who would your family suspect? Would they think you willingly left, or would they automatically assume your spouse was involved? I know in my situation, my family would definitely not suspect my spouse. He's never done anything to harm me or never indicated that he would do anything to harm me, and he's just not.
All right. We've seen that one already. I had saw something I wanted to show you guys, but I know I cannot play music. Here, I don't think it is. Let me see.
Good evening, Patty's Voice. Just wanted to let everybody know that tomorrow we have some exciting news. We are actually going to be live with News Nation sharing my mother's story, and there will be an option for viewers to write in questions, and we'll be answering those live. After the show, there will be a Facebook Live as well. So this is an opportunity for the first time of my mother's story making national news, and we're just really excited and honored to be able to get her case out there and have it be heard. I hope you can join us. News Nation at 9:30 Pacific Standard Time. Thanks.
Did you hear what she said? This is the first time her mother's case went national. Wow. I mean, that's a shame, because this should have been a really, really, really big case. It should have really been that worldwide, first of all. Okay. But I am glad that now she's finally able to get her voice heard. They should have been putting her mother's story everywhere, having her everywhere talking about this. Very sad. Well, one thing I know for sure is that she will be here this Saturday, getting her voice heard from Brooklyn Squad, Real Life Drama, Real Life Crimes. Yes, she will be here this Saturday. Let me see if she agreed with the time so I can tell you guys. Not yet. But I will be posting the time up, so keep your notification bells on. I appreciate that. And this will be for members only. So if you don't have your membership, I suggest that you go ahead and go get it. It's only $1.99. And like I said before, you get to see all the interviews that I am doing. And you get a movie night We all need a good relaxing movie night, a good laugh, a good time to just fall back, let your hair down and kick it with your girls or your peoples, your friends, your associates. Because all this stuff, all these crimes and heartbroken stories, I figure that I give you guys something that's a little more mind healthy and a little more enjoyable, where you could just laugh and just have a great time with me. So go ahead and get that membership. But be here this Saturday if you do get that membership, and I'll put the time up because I will be having this beautiful young lady on my platform. Everyone, have a blessed day and remember to stay safe. Thank you.